Silver Scorpion here. So I'm just looking to melt a little aluminum today. Show y'all some of the stuff. This is actually an old aluminum TV antenna. You got extruded aluminum off of circuit boards. The heat sinks. This is actually an old sewing machine. It's broken beyond repair, so the whole thing was made out of aluminum. So I've busted that up. You got your hard drives. Once you take everything out of those, that's aluminum. I've got other little pieces of scrap that I've picked up here and there. Some other stuff I've taken apart. The outsides are aluminum and some inside pieces. So it's my propane tank here. Most of the time, people you see running a Devil Forge is using a gas one, like off a grill, a gas grill. This is double that size, so it runs longer. Of course, you got to dial in your pressure, your gas pressure once you get it started up. Here's my crucible. I'm gonna pack it full of aluminum and show it to you. Got a spoon there. Scoop out the dross off the top. Something that I put the dross in. Some of my fire brick laid out, so I don't set the hot stuff directly on anything it's going to try to light. And I've got a couple molds set out. Molds have to be preheated before you pour into them. If there's any moisture in them, you get a little bit of an explosion. And of course the Devil Forge that I use. I've already put a piece of cardboard down there in the bottom. It helps keep the crucible from trying to stick to the bottom with all that temperature change. So let me get this crucible full and we'll get stuff fired up. Alright, so got the crucible pretty close to being full. I can actually put more in there, but that's basically all the antenna pieces I had that I could get a hold of real easy. So we'll set that down in there. So it's ready to go. Kind of center it because you want to leave enough room for your heat to swirl around the crucible and kind of heat it evenly. So normally some type of talc, graphite, baby powder, something like that's good to toss in your molds. Makes the metal come back out a lot better. So I dump a little on there, kind of brush it around in there good. Also got a muffin pan over here. I've done a few pours in. I threw a little bit in that too. So I'm gonna go ahead and preheat the molds, get them kind of up and ready to go, so I don't have to do much to them before I start. This is a piece off of a motor, I think it was. Just getting things kind of situated and ready. So preheating your molds, just take a little torch and warm them up. Make sure you got all the moisture out of them, so you don't get that splat effect when you pour that molten metal in there. So that can be kind of dangerous. Sometimes it pops and splats and does stuff like that. I mean, it doesn't take a whole lot of heat, but you got to put enough in there that you know it's good and dry. And you see your colors changing as it gets all that moisture off of there. That moisture also causes bubbles in what you pour and stuff like that. So in order to get a good pour, you want it all out of there anyway. Alright, so I told you had to dial in your pressure. So you're supposed to be running about 0.8. That's about right. Your tank doesn't take it long to start sweating. If you run it too long, it'll actually freeze. Ice will show up on it and slowly work its way up. So that's something you have to watch for. You can put it in a bucket of water, help stop it. Something like that. It'll actually change the propane so it won't come out anymore if it gets too cold. I don't know if y'all can see down in there. That stuff's just about melted. There's your time. So that's running from everything being completely cold. So it doesn't take long to melt aluminum. You get to doing copper now, it takes a pretty good while to get that stuff to melt. So I'll open it up here in a minute and show you what I'm working with. Alright, so this is what it looks like now. Sooner or later you got to go through here, start getting some of this dross off the top. You can remelt the dross, but you're not going to get a lot out of it, but a lot of people do remelt it. Just like that. It's not hard, but it's hot in there. My glove will start burning here in a second. And then you just keep adding. So your dross comes from impurities. As you see, it lights on fire because of the paint. So it burns the paint. And then that comes up to the top as dross as well. That piece is so thick it doesn't want to melt right now, just from the temperature of the there it goes, just from the temperature of the aluminum down there. What's already molten, it'll take and melt whatever you set in it most of the time if it's getting warm. So you just keep adding and keep scooping dross off of it. And let's see if I can't fire this bad boy back up. Another good way to preheat your molds. Put it right up on top of the furnace. Let them sit for a few minutes. Warms them on up pretty good. You normally do that when you get close to time to pour. That way you can just make sure there's nothing in them that shouldn't be in them, that it causes a little bit of a splashback or explosion when you pour that molten metal in it. There's my tool to take your crucible out. Me and my dad made that, and there's my tool for picking up the crucible and pouring it. We also made that one by hand. Alright, so everything's good and warm. There's some more dross on top. Again, that's all that nasty paint and stuff. It burns right off the aluminum. If you watch my glove, it's liable to start smoking because the spoon gets so hot. And that dross is out of there. At some point you got to stir to the bottom. Make sure everything's melting like it's supposed to. I don't know if you can see that. It was smoking there for a second. You see my smoke coming off my glove. And we will add a little more metal because crucible's not full yet. Let's see if I can show y'all how fast that stuff melts. This is some pretty thick aluminum, so it takes it a little longer, but if you got like a little aluminum pole or something, it'll melt right straight down in there almost as fast as you push it in there. As you can see, everything below it melted, and that's going right on down in there. I'm trying to float a little bit, but I'm gonna fire it back up for a few more minutes, scoop a dross off of there, and I'll probably be ready to pour. So we'll be back with y'all in a minute.